I figured why not film a garden tour like I had intended yesterday. I'll do it today. I love my perfectly imperfect garden. This is asparagus. This was planted this year. Only half of this bed is planted. The other half we're dumping weeds and grass and straw and stuff into to prepare it for next year's planting of asparagus. This is my surprise potatoes. I did not intend to plant these. These were here from last year when I had potatoes here. And some of them are ready to be dug up. It'll be what it'll be. Then I have some sweet potatoes planted in here. I do not have anything planted here, and you can't even tell that's a bed anymore. The grass took over, and that's okay. I have plans for it. I have this protein tub, which has my mint and lemon balm in it. If these are not contained, they will take over your entire garden. So contain them. Next we have melons. These are various varieties of watermelons, as well as surprise sunflowers and surprise corn, because I used old bedding from my goats who eat sunflower seeds and corn. This is a loofah. It is my only loofah to survive. I planted 4. She's doing great. And the goal is to have the loofah will grow up and over this arch. And this is a volunteer tomato, which is covered in grass. And I need to weed that. Along the arch, I also have beans. These are Chinese noodle beans. I didn't plant any on that side, just on this side. And various winter squash, pumpkins. I have all the varieties written down, but it looks like some of my chickens got in and ate some of them. So we'll see what actually comes up. This is the beginnings of the pollinator bed, which is being somewhat taken over by grass, but again, baby steps. This is fun. This is an old tractor steering wheel I pulled out of the woods and thought it was cool, so we just popped it in the ground. This is a poppy, and it'll bloom probably the size of my hand. They don't last very long, but they are super pretty. You can't tell what's here, but it is peppers, okra, and cucumbers. That is my project for tomorrow, is to reclaim this bed. Then I have all these towers right here. I have 9 of them. Well, I have 8 right here. But these are peas on the inside and beans on the outside. And I think I'm going to pull out most of them and just mow over it. And I have some walking onions. I have a few of them interplanted in this pollinator bed. This is a hollyhock. I don't remember what variety because I planted a whole bunch of them. This is marigold popping through the grass. And lavender. And a larkspur that's finishing up. I pulled off a whole bunch of seeds from this, seed pods, so I can plant more. And another volunteer sunflower. Again, I use my goats' bedding, and my goats eat corn and sunflower seeds, and so I've got corn and sunflower seeds. in my garden beds. This, so remember that pink poppy? This is a seed head. This one should bloom soon, but this will be more seeds. I love the seed pods from poppies. They sound like little maracas. They're fun. Oh, and then here's a marigold. This is a volunteer marigold from last year. I have a lot of volunteer stuff in here. I have volunteer larkspur growing in my grass. It's fine. We just mow over it. Although right now I let this grow up so that my two wethers, these two are wethers, and Buckling, he should be leaving in the next few days. I let it grow up so they'd have somewhere to munch on. And I have more larkspur and more hollyhocks and more larkspur. And look, even more larkspur. And oh look, more hollyhocks. And then some chamomile that is trying its darndest to survive. And 4 o'clock. And calendula and more calendula. And salvia. And my Shasta daisy. And another calendula. And there's some other stuff in there that I'm pretty sure is dead now. But that's okay. We garden one step at a time. These are Mr. W's pumpkins. This is what he chose to plant and he wants to sell at the farmer's market. There's a variety of like jack-o'-lantern type pumpkins and then mini, like the weeby little itty bitty pumpkins. This is Mr. E's bed. He wanted to grow sunflowers and this is as far as he got. He planted 3 rows of sunflowers and a little row of cucumbers and then decided he was done, which is okay. He's learning. Oh, look, Miss Guinea in the road. That bird. This is Miss R's flower bed, garden bed. This is Lavender the kitten, about to pounce on Pumpkin the kitten, who's next to Shadow, who's looking at something. Okay, Miss R's bed. She did peas in this tower and radishes, and she got a pretty good harvest of radishes. That's one of her favorite vegetables. She's leaving what's left in there, she's leaving to go to seed. And then she planted a whole bunch of sunflowers and cucumbers. And again, we need to come out here and really tackle this. So the cucumbers are planted in the middle and they're doing what they're supposed to do, which is growing to choke out the weeds. And her sunflowers are looking great. We tried succession planting sunflowers and then she decided she just wanted to plant them all. And these ones were her first ones that she planted. And then she decided she just wanted to plant them all, so we planted them all. Hi, kitties. And then these are tomatoes. Most of these are going to be the purple or colorful variety of tomatoes, as well as cherry tomatoes. I'll have to go back and look at my notes to see exactly what we planted. And then on the ground, I have white sweet potatoes. I have the variety written down if anybody wants to know. So, sweet potatoes and tomatoes are great companion plants because the sweet potato is not in the same family as the tomato, and it acts as a really good ground cover, choking out the weeds and also helping to feed the soil for the tomatoes. So they're great companion plants. I have a marigold. After pruning my tomatoes, I had a whole bunch of suckers. So as an experiment, they might not perk back up. I planted a whole bunch along this trellis. My idea being to try and train them up and over the top. We'll see what actually survives. In Mr. E's bed at the very end, next to this trellis, we have Cuckoozy gourd, which is the only edible gourd. It's also called Cuckoozy melon. Over here were the surprise peonies that I discovered last year. Where all the stakes are, all those rebar and stuff, that's where the peonies are, or where I saw what I thought were peonies. So we'll see what comes up. This one bloomed this year. It was a really pretty pinkish color. Okay. Sunflowers. These are all the mammoth sunflowers. This bed I had planted with a whole bunch of sunflowers and nothing ever came up. So either my seeds were old or the compost I used was too hot. Either way, it didn't come up, and that's okay. Right here, this was supposed to be, in my vision, was a cute little bed with artichokes on each corner and dill growing up in the middle, so that when you walked out of here, it was like walking into a whole different world. Well, the dill didn't grow, and the asparagus is getting choked out by the grass. So that's okay. We just mow around it. It's fine. We're experimenting. This was a nice bed of corn, and again, half of it didn't come up, so I just gave that half back to the grass. The other half that did come up, again, I gotta weed it, but also, it's okay. There's always next year. This was popping corn. I don't grow sweet corn. I grow a lot of popping corn because that's kind of what we prefer. And I'll just buy sweet corn from roadside stands. Okay, over here. Actually, let's do over here. So this was, like I said, my peppers and okra and cucumbers. The peppers I have are cayenne peppers. These are specifically for medicine. I make muscle salve out of them. Okay, over here, we have more sweet potatoes right here. These are an orange variety of sweet potatoes. And again, I gotta get rid of the grass. This is a new problem for me. Coming from gardening in Utah to gardening in Kansas is a whole new world. And tomatoes, which I have tied up and pruned, and just, I think I accidentally topped that one. That's okay. It'll grow. And volunteer sunflowers and a volunteer tomato, which is doing amazing, but it's on the other side of the trellis and I can't really get to it to prune it the way I want to. Over here is my favorite spot in the garden. These are all medicinal herbs as well as flowers. This I thought would take, I didn't think this would take off this year like it has, but it is filling in nicely and it's super pretty. And I'm discovering I need to pull some plants out and move them because they are getting shaded out by larger plants. So I have wormwood, oregano, lettuce leaf basil, comfrey, and then right here, it's kind of hard to see, but right here I've got these little nasturtiums. I think I planted nasturtiums right here. And this is echinacea. And back there behind the wormwood, that I think is a daisy. I had some Shasta daisies that I kind of stuck in, hoping they would fill out in some of the spaces. I thought I'd given this stuff enough space to spread. I don't think I did. This is something I can't remember, but it's really pretty and it attracts the pollinators and I really like it. And I think that was a daisy, but again, I don't remember what I planted. I have to check my notes. This is thyme right here. And this little thing, I accidentally pulled off part of it. It is, I have to check my notes again, but it took me forever to grow. I planted 5 or 6 seeds, which was all I had, and only 2 or 3 came up, and of that, only 1 survived to be transplanted. And so I have babied this thing. I gotta remember it's there. And there's peony there. These are Chinese noodle beans, which will grow up and over. I really like this little arch, but it is little. It's perfect for kids. I'm 5'3", 5'4". I have to duck to get under this, just put my head down to get under it. So it's a little short, but that's okay. And we have more echinacea and plantain and more peony and more plantain and more plantain. And there's a little echinacea under one of these that I need to dig out and move. And then my volunteer sunflowers. And on this side, I have more thyme and more nasturtiums along here. And again, I think that's a Shasta daisy, but I can't remember. I'll have to check my notes. And this is more comfrey. And this is mullein and red clover. And the one I don't remember, but is really pretty. And this is Tulsi, or holy basil, and a volunteer tomato, because I had tomatoes over here last year. And yarrow, and something I don't remember. And I think I planted that, but I don't know. It seemed too perfect to have been growing right there and didn't quite look like pigweed. So I decided to leave it and see what grew. And then I'm going to look in my books and see if I can figure out what it is. And we'll just go through here. Try not to hit my head. And I have more plantain that is starting to go to seed, which is perfect. And a volunteer tomato. And then chives. And I love how wild this all is. And how much it's grown in just a matter of about a month and a half. And I think those are cosmos. I don't know. They look like something I would have planted, but I don't know what they are. But eventually, this is all growing wild, which I love, and I will have seeds galore that I can take from this to then, seeds and rhizomes and things like that, which I can then continue planting down here. And this will all be full of peonies and flowers and herbs that are both medicinal and culinary, and it will be beautiful and amazing. And seeing this little section right here, I can see my vision more for the garden coming to fruition. It's slow in coming, but it is coming. And I love seeing it come together. It looks wild. It is wild. There are plenty of weeds. There is so much to do. There's grass to be mowed. I need to mulch. I need to pull weeds. I need to spread that pile of weeds so it's not just a mound. I need to spread compost. I had to pull weeds. Oh, I had a bug fly in my ear. I had to pull weeds out of my compost pile because they were 3.5, 4 feet tall. And So I had to pull those out. But I can see it all coming together. And this is only the second year that I've grown here. And it's different growing in Kansas, where it's very humid, so there's lots of moisture in the air. It rains much more than it did in Utah, and things grow incredibly well here compared to Utah. Because my gardens in Utah, I would till something and I wouldn't deal with weeds like this. I didn't deal with grass like this. So it's been an adventure, and I've loved every minute of it. And it's fun seeing everything come together. So don't give up on your garden if it's not exactly what you want it to be right away. It will come together and it'll be beautiful. And it's beautiful in the midst of the chaos as well.